Okay, I will try not to sink the ship then.
Okay.
Um, It's with these lightning rounds. It's like no matter how well I try to prepare something, I wind up even more unprepared than when I started because I never know like what to talk about. I think I don't really want to make a big deal about Saturday because there was a lot of things going on and we had to collapse time and a lot of things. Basically, I had a little bit more of self around than I would have liked to have had at that time. But I think it was a growing experience, and I think that growing pains, we don't like it. But they're necessary, and situations like that are, part of the package.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could things have been done differently?
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess what I'm saying is sometimes I end up looking for ways around things that there are no ways around.
Mm-hmm.
And I wind up back in the same place every time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess my question is, I guess other than like pulling myself up by the bootstraps and taking hold of God and just going through those things, just, realizing that, okay, we knew things like this were going to happen once in a great while.
Mm-hmm.
This goes with the job. And also getting built up for when they do happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were talking to someone, in another meeting who's dealing with temptation, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing that came to mind is that you have to build yourself up before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm no stranger to temptation. And I know with a lot of the temptations I've faced, if you go into that and you haven't built yourself up before the thing starts hitting, it's already too late. So, I would like to get your thoughts on practical ways to build yourself up before stuff happens. One of the most intriguing scriptures that just came to mind now is David encouraged himself in the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And it's found in 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 5, about how David had a great victory and he's coming back, and he gets back to the village and find the village just totally flattened. The women and children are taken, and the men want to kill him. And so his popularity rating at that point wasn't all that great. But he's encouraging himself in the Lord at that time. So, we know that he knew God. And we know that, from the time he was a child, he's saying, the Lord is my shepherd. He got that when he was out playing music with the sheep, I don't know if he actually had a guitar, he probably had something else, but, the Lord is my shepherd. So, what else did he know? Or what else do you think he knew to be able to do that? Because, picture the situation. The village is flattened, the men and women are taken, women and children are taken, and every guy in this village is looking at you to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what did he know to be able to encourage himself in the Lord? And it was essential because he did get that victory back at the end of that. But if he hadn't encouraged himself in the Lord, it might not have gone that way. So I've always thought about that.
Yeah, I think one thing is, a lot of times we read a lot of these stories and we get this image that, David and all these people, that they were just superheroes, that they never went through any of the same stuff we did. But I could picture, King David or, like David and Goliath, that story, or Moses or any of those people, I could picture them being stressed out at one point, or being, I could picture them maybe feeling kind of afraid at times, because we might feel a certain way, but I think the key is not allowing our feelings to take over. So we don't want to have this idea that, if I feel afraid, or if I don't feel it, then that must mean I'm in the wrong, or that I'm because not necessarily. We don't want to just totally shoot ourselves down just because we might not feel courage.
Right.
We have to just have faith to stand. And I don't know. In my experience, I haven't really, in terms of I wish I could look at everything that's going to happen tomorrow, everything that's going to come up, and try to totally prepare for it. But I'm kind of glad I can't see everything tomorrow, because I have enough to worry about right now, today. So there's some times where things are just going to happen, and we can't fully, if you're going to lead worship and you're going into a situation, of course, we need to pray, and we need to, spiritually, do everything we can to prepare for something. But I think it gets to a point, there's things are going to just happen, and I think God allows that. I think God allows that, and for me, I struggle with that too. For me, it's kind of a learned behavior. In Romans 12:2, it says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind,"
Right.
And that takes time in a lot of cases. And something happens, sometimes I try to just step back and say, all right, this is happening now. These are what my options are to solve the problem, and sometimes I have to just relax for a minute and take a deep breath, and then God will show me something. He'll give me an idea or something while I'm stopping. But if I just hit the panic button, and then God's trying to tell me something, but I can't hear him because I'm freaking out. So.
What happens to me is I remember that thou art with me, even till the end of time. So okay, I got him on my side. That's number one. Number two, he always make a way out. God never allow you to fall into anything without giving you a way out. Okay? So for the temptation, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to ask. Okay? Then what I do is I pray. I pray, Lord, now and I talk to God just like I talk to y'all. I talk to God just like that. Now, this is a hard one for me. I need you. I need you now.
Yeah.
And I ask for his guidance. And I ask him to come in and give me the right thing to do, or the right way to go. Because I know he always makes a way for you. He makes a way for you out. But you're in a perfect position because you're worship leader. And when you worship and you praise him, I mean, the things got to stop falling off.
Yeah.
It's got to stop falling off because he inhabits praise.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're doing that. You're worshiping him. That's what David did. That's what David did. So I think you're in the perfect position.
Cool.
All right. So, of course, I'm on this whole blind spot kick. I'm probably doing this kick for another week. But when I was preaching, I told the story about how Jesus was telling them that they have to eat of my flesh and drink of my blood.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, no, we can't handle that. And they left. And their blind spot was their faith, because they had forgotten about all the miracles that Jesus had done before them, turning the water into wine, feeding the 5,000. They were there and witnessed all those things. Now, if I would have seen all those things, why would I start using logic when he's talking to me after I've seen him defy logic a couple times?
Again.
So it's the same thing when you read that story of David. When you take just that story, it's like, wow, man, how did David do it? But you're forgetting that David killed lions and bears and other things with a stone and a slingshot. Goliath was dead by this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took out Goliath. God was with him for all those things. So when you come back, so if I'm like a professional fighter, and I come home and I find out that some guy down the block was disrespectful or something to my wife, and he said he wants to meet me down the street at 5:00, I'm not stressed out and worried. I'm like, this dude is in trouble. He don't know who he's messing with.
Well, what comes to mind is David had a habit of rehearsing God's victories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, like, even when he faced Goliath, he was probably, Lord only knows, he's probably like 16 or 17
Yeah.
when he did that.
Yeah.
And he already killed a bear and a lion. So
And-
that's what he's telling everybody.
that's what
This
he
is
said.
no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, so he probably came home. He was like, so what happened here? Oh, they got my wives. They took some stuff and can I have some grapes? And they're like, you want some grapes? Oh no, them dudes is as good as dead. They as good as dead. They just don't know it yet. But give me my stuff. And what happens right after that part in the Bible? David went on and defeated them.
Yep.
So when you look at the whole context of what God has done, that's why people say that's why Pastor Adrian put on the power of the testimony, because no one can take that from you.
Right.
God has brought you through so much to this point, and defied so much logic in my life. God has defied so much logic. If even at the age of 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, if someone would told